Hello there, it's Ben here, and I thought I'd give you an update as to what's been going on, because it's been really busy, and there's just so much happening, and unfortunately you don't get to see a lot of that, and I'd like to talk about a way to rectify that in a moment. So there's 4 things going on at the moment. Huge amount of work's been going into portraits, and actually I'm going to talk about that last because it's probably the most affluent in terms of the amount that I need to talk about it. But 2 down, obviously the album's done now, mastered, we're literally ready to release, and we're going to be giving you a release date really soon, and it's much closer than I initially anticipated, because I thought maybe it'd be around October time, but no, it's sooner than that. We're trying to get our heads together to make our This Time Around music video happen, but it's been a little bit trickier than I originally anticipated because of the amount of I guess you call it CGI, but it's not like you think CGI, but it is computer generated. There's a few specific parts of the video that are quite complex in terms of post-production, so we're trying to get that worked out before we start filming, which will be soon. So we're going to drop This Time Around probably with the album, so not long now, and I promise it won't be long because you've been waiting long enough and we have too. It's really good. Oh, we're going to be putting up a teaser video, not a teaser video, a kind of album sampler, so you get like 40 seconds of each song. I thought that would be quite cool to give you some sort of insight into what you're getting into. So look out for that. It'll be on the 2 Down channel, and we'll tweet it and stuff. The next thing is Quiet One EP. It's good. Like I always smile when it comes to Quiet One because it's just, I like it. I smile when it comes to everything, but I like the Quiet One EP. A lot of work went into it. Tim mixed it and he did really well. It's not too much that can go wrong with Quiet One, because normally it's a guitar and a vocal, sometimes a piano will appear. But we had a couple of really cool things happen with it. I had the guy who did the cello orchestral arrangements for the Hunger Games come and feature on it, which is really cool. He's amazing cellist. I think I've talked about this before because I'm getting deja vu. I apologise for that, but there's a few things on it which are really interesting, and which leads me to talk about a Quiet One album, which I'm starting to think about. I haven't put plectrum to string yet, or pen to paper, but I will be doing that soon, and I don't want it to be too far detached from the original Quiet One, because all that I keep thinking is production now. Like, songwriting is one thing, but then where can we take it after that? But I think, I'm sorry for the wind, by the way, if it's picking up on my mic, but some part of me thinks don't do that with Quiet One, it's going to ruin it. I keep thinking now we're getting into orchestral modes with portraits and stuff like that, and obviously with 2 Down we were. I keep thinking like, well, why can't we get like a full orchestra in these like specific parts? But I don't know, leave it with me. I promise I'll do right by you. Wow, I just aged 80 years then by saying that. Which leads me on to a project that I've not talked about before, publicly anyway. I've been working on it for about 1.5 years, closer to 2 years on and off. And it's a project, it's an album called Hurt Music, which will be with you relatively soon as well. And I'm not going to discuss too much what it sounds like, because I want it to be a bit of a surprise, but it's going back to, it's Benn, so it's B-E-M-M. It's going back to kind of revenge music. You know, I remember I did a little EP called Revenge Music with a couple of MC mates of ours, Callum's mates, but did incredible work, really good, kind of hip-hop based but alternative stuff. It's kind of like that. There's a bit less rap, it's more me rather than features. There are features on it, but it's mainly me, and I'm mixing it. It'll be mastered at Abbey, obviously. Every single thing I seem to do at the moment is mastered at Abbey, which is great, which is really cool. But that'll be with you probably either just slightly this side of Christmas. I'm sorry it's so long away, but there's still a bit to do mixing wise, or maybe just after Christmas. But really excited to drop that because it's been a complete and utter secret until now, and I've been working on it kind of in solitude. It's funny because some of the parts that people recorded are like 2 years old, and they're like, well, why did that never come out? when I speak to the people who are featured on it, they're like, why did that never come out? And I'm like, well, because I'm still working on it. It's, you know, I take a long time getting things how I like them, especially when it comes to Quiet One. But I'll talk more about Quiet One in another video, because there are some things happening towards an album, but I need to feel comfortable about it, and I can't start writing the album with all these different headspaces on, which leads me to Portraits, which is just nuts, man. It's just like, you should see. I was talking to John about this last night. My mind is gone. Like, I can't keep focused. It's mad. You know that, but oh dear. Which leads me on to Portraits again. Sorry, see that, even talking about, I'm doing it again. Portraits, which is probably the most exciting project I have on at the moment, just sheerly because I'm interacting with someone who's, I was going to say, as invested in it as I am, but it probably more invested. Like John, he sends like essay emails and like literally kind of, and homework. I'm getting like set homework to read, like essays and articles and stuff. Is amazing because I'm learning so much by doing it. But each song is its own kind of I don't want to say that word. I was going to say like deity. Like it's so specific, and we work out every intrinsic value that goes into it. It's really interesting. But we're doing something different with Portraits. We're going to be starting a Kickstarter. If you don't know what that is, and you probably do, it's a way to raise money towards the project in a way that gets you kind of pre-invested in the project. So, for instance, with Quiet One, I funded Quiet One myself, and then I made the money back and a little bit more by selling it, and you bought that after I'd made it. But with Portraits, what I love about Kickstarters, and why I support so many Kickstarters, well, like 20 of them maybe, but what I love about it, my foot's gone really warm. It's just, what I love about it is that you get to be involved from the get-go. With a Kickstarter, you can buy into it in different tiers and levels and rewards, and we'll make sure they're really cool. We're making a lot of steps to make sure those rewards are A, worth it for you, and B, they get you involved with the project. You know, not like you're going to say, well, I want a D chord here or something like that, but you get a kind of inside look at what's going on. Because for the last month, I've probably not made an update video, but there's so much going on. Like every single day I'm here churning out riffs, chord progressions, looking at thinking about orchestral movements. I'm working on a piano kind of opus for Portraits as well, very discordant piano piece that is really detailed and very difficult to perform, and it's taken me right back to my roots of learning classically and kind of re-embedding that into what I became, which was a classically trained musician who'd gone into songwriting in kind of the wrong way, in the rock way, which is the worst possible way you can go into something. But I'm going back to those roots and trying to figure out where I went wrong in many cases, and this is teaching me to do all of that stuff. And you're not seeing any of that stuff. You're not seeing John writing the drum parts, really intricate fills and things which I've never heard before. It's just a lot of stuff you're missing out on, and this Kickstarter will hopefully bring you way into what we're about, but giving you constant update videos, blogs, whatever you want. Basically, you get to help with that. And again, some of the prizes are really unique. One of the prizes specifically, the one I'll be giving away on my end, is just, it's a real shame in a way, but it's a pretty sick reward. Like, if I liked a kind of indie band growing up, kind of like Portraits, and if they offered what I'm going to offer, I'd be very interested in that. And that sounds so arrogant, but actually it takes me back to what I'd always wanted to happen before. And bands were so closed off before, and now we're so kind of socially active that it's so rewarding in a way, and we want it to be rewarding. So there will be a Kickstarter starting shortly. We are 5 songs deep. I mean, 5 songs written completely. We've still got another 3 or 2 songs on top of that to start, that we've started but aren't quite songs. And the topics we're talking about, because we treat each song kind of like a portrait. The songs are so vitally diverse, and you know about Hutton and from 4.28 by looking at the essay, but we're working on a couple of songs now which are just as kind of complex and not more interesting, because Hutton's vitally interesting, but it's just so different and alternative. And I haven't heard music written from this ideological standpoint before. I'm sure there is music, but I haven't heard it, and it's taking me way out of my comfort zone of thinking like, well, let's write a song about a specific portion of my life, or a specific really fucked up moment, or because there've been many, or anything like that. It takes me away from, I want to say my comfort zone, but it's my uncomfortable zone. It takes me away from that and plummets me way into something I don't even have a handle on. Like, it's something that I'm having to learn, and sometimes it's infuriating to learn it, because my mind isn't as scientific as, say, John's is, but I'm forcing myself to try and get there anyway. So Portraits is a huge deal for me at the moment. That album is just going to be something I don't think exists. So, you know, the chance to make something like that is so important, because there are other singer-songwriters, there are people who sound not exactly like Quiet One, but there are people who do that, obviously. I take some foray in saying that I used to listen to quite a few singer-songwriters, and, you know, Iron and Wine, Huxley, Leonard Cohen, all sorts of people who I have massive respect for. And but, you know, I think the term that Portraits kind of fits under, the umbrella, is prog rock. I don't know much about prog rock at all. I'm learning only from what John has shown me or told me to go and revise or look at, but I don't know much about it. So I'm bringing a completely alternative angle, not alternative genre, but just completely alternative to prog rock into Portraits, and it's making it sound so jarring in portions that it's just so interesting. And I mean, it makes me sound like I'm just trying to sell you, but I'm sold on it, so I can't help but try and show you what I'm feeling, basically. And I want to let you in to the studio, and I think that that's a big part of the Kickstarter. And the Kickstarter is going to fund John coming to the UK. It's going to fund hiring a kit when he's here, hiring additional mics, things like accommodation while he's here and stuff, making his stay. He's perfectly fine being incredibly uncomfortable in a tent. I have a social responsibility that makes me think that that's really fucked up, so I don't particularly want that. So there are things that, you know, I think need to happen to make that process as realistically comfortable as possible. And so the money that we raise in the Kickstarter will be to actually fund John coming here to record his drum parts to the album. And we're trying to think of releasing this album January time, releasing January time, maybe end of January. But that would be a really good kind of point of departure, you know. And so that's it. We haven't got a date for when John's going to come here, but it will be relatively soon, between November and beginning of January, basically. And because once his drum tracks are down, it's not easy to mix, but all the components will be perfect. Like, there will be very little mixing to do, because as I'm tracking now, I'm tracking everything in 192 kilohertz, really high quality stuff, because I know that when it comes to doing mixing, it's vastly easier to do it when you've got quality, you know, when you're working with quality. And it's just so nice not having to edit anything as well. Like, my guitar parts are almost completely fluid, like from start to end. Got my own pedal board now, custom pedal board, with a couple of custom pedals on it now, and it's just sounding so good. Like, when it came to other projects, like Two Down has a bit of guitar editing, and it's just guitar editing I don't like, because vocals, I don't really edit vocals anymore. I just keep tracking it until it's perfect. Like, that's pretty simple. Guitars, I just think it's cheating. Like, Two Down had a bit of editing, but that's mainly to make your production-y, like, kind of really sharp transients, which you can't do any other way than physically chopping audio. Tragedy of Time had an inordinate amount of guitar editing just to make it so in time because it wasn't fitting perfectly, and a lot of that came down to the drummer as well, who was vastly out of time. I don't have any of those problems with John, so I'm rambling, but I just wanted to have portraits kind of, I wanted in my mind's ear, my mind to know that it was perfect from the get-go. So I'm having to kind of learn guitar parts almost as muscle memory, so that every single time I track them they are near enough identical, which is pretty alien to me. But it's also going to mean that when it comes to doing this stuff live, it will be so much easier to me because it will just be muscle memory then. Because remember, John's just playing the drums. I'm not saying just playing the drums because there's a shitload going on, obviously, but I'm playing guitar and singing and working harmony pedals for my vocals as well, and all my guitar pedals, as well as what's going on in the guitar. There's quite a lot of stuff going on around me, and having the play style locked in as muscle memory would just be so vastly easy in comparison to having to think about what I'm doing while I'm playing it. So it's a long process doing that, but getting there. Anyway, I won't bore you anymore because this has already been too long, I feel. But that's the agenda right now. That's what's going on. And thank you so much for your support. Always, like, I know you'll be great with the Kickstarter, guys. I know you'll help push it, and I can only thank you so much. You know, another thing on the Kickstarter before I go was saying that for you guys who live in the UK, getting you down to this studio, or that it will be a new studio by then, but getting you down to the new studio while we're tracking, that would be cool. Having you down for a couple of days, getting pizzas in, beers in, just kind of you seeing and being a part of that process. Like, I would have loved that. Like, there's so many bands I could think, well, I wish I was a fly on the wall. And you can be a fly on the wall. I mean, we may have to get a winch, but you know, you can actually be there with us. That's a really cool reward, which I'd love to implement. And you get to meet me, you get to meet the people around me, because you don't know all that much about me. So it'd be a really kind of, I think, an insightful experience for all of us. For us to meet you and for you to meet us. It'd be just a really nice reward in that reward scheme. Anyway, I'm going to stop boring you. So thank you very much for watching. Thanks endlessly for your support, and I'll try and keep you updated. Thanks, guys. Bye.